A returned letter exposes the truth. Mia's childhood home isn't empty. It's being rented behind her back. Her buried parents' estate, stolen. Her name, forged. The woman she called family, a con artist, building an empire of lies. And behind it, all a shadowy figure known only as LP, someone powerful, someone watching. Now Mia isn't just uncovering fraud, she's digging up a conspiracy that could get her killed, and this time, she's not backing down.
The letter sat in my mailbox, its edges creased, stamped with "Return to Sender" in bold, accusing red. I stood in the dim hallway of my college apartment, staring at the envelope I'd sent to my childhood home 3 weeks ago. My hands trembled as I turned it over. Something was wrong, deeply wrong. My name's Mia, and 8 months ago, my life unraveled when my parents died in a freak boating accident off the coast of Maine. I was a junior, buried in biology textbooks and lab reports, when I had to choose caskets and face a room full of mourners. My Aunt Sylvia, my dad's younger sister, stepped in like a lifeline. "Don't worry about the house, Mia," she'd whispered at the funeral, her eyes soft with tears. "I'll take care of everything. Bills, upkeep, all of it. Your mom would have wanted you to focus on school." I believed her. Why wouldn't? Sylvia was the aunt who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd slip me $20 at family dinners and call me her best buddy, even though I was her only niece. But now, this returned letter burned in my hands. Why was my mail bouncing back? The house in Burlington, Vermont, where I grew up, was supposed to be empty, locked up tight while I finished my degree. Sylvia had been calling me every month, her voice heavy with exhaustion. "The furnace is acting up again," she'd sigh. Or, "Property taxes are killing me, Mia. I'm dipping into my savings to keep that place afloat." Each call felt like a punch, a reminder of my parents' absence. But I trusted her. She was family. Yet, as I stared at the envelope, a cold knot tightened in my chest. Had I been too naive? What was Sylvia really doing with my home? I called. My roommate, Lena, who was cramming for a psych exam in our cramped living room. "Lena, you remember that package I sent to the house? The one with my mom's old journals?" I asked, my voice shaky. It came back, marked "Return to Sender." Why would that happen if the house is empty? Lena looked up, her pen frozen mid-note. "Empty houses don't forward mail, Mia. Have you checked the property records? Or your bank statements?" I hadn't. Sylvia always said she was handling the finances to spare me the stress. "Maybe you should," Lena said, her eyes narrowing. "Like yesterday." I sank onto my bed, opened my laptop, and pulled up the county website. It was easier than I expected. Public records laid bare like an open book. Property taxes, utility, bills, ownership details. My fingers froze on the keyboard as the screen loaded. "Lena," I whispered, my voice barely audible. "The utilities are on. Electric, water, heat. All active." She leaned over my shoulder, scanning the screen. "Didn't Sylvia say she shut everything off to save money? That she winterized the pipes for Vermont's freeze?" I nodded, my throat tight. She lied to me. Why would she lie? I dialed. Sylvia's number, my heart pounding. She answered on the second ring, her voice warm as ever. "Mia, sweetheart, is everything okay?" I forced my tone to stay light. "Hey, Aunt Sylvia, just checking in. Is anyone looking after the house? Like, checking the pipes or anything?" A brief pause, just a heartbeat too long. "Oh, Mrs. Carter from across the street pops in now and then," she said smoothly. "Why do you ask?" "Just curious about the utilities. Are they still on?" Another pause. "Well, yes, dear. We need a baseline for the heat. Vermont? Winters, you know how brutal they can be." My grip tightened on the phone. "Right," I said, keeping my voice steady despite the anger bubbling inside. "And the water bill? That's normal too?" "Must be a clerical error," she said quickly. "I'll check on it. Don't you worry, Mia. I've got this under control." When I hung up, Lena was watching me, her arms crossed. "She's hiding something," she said flatly. "What's your next move?" I picked up the returned envelope, my parents' address staring back at me. My dad's voice echoed in my head from years ago. "Trust your instincts, Mia. If something feels off, it probably is. I looked at Lena, a fire sparking in my chest. I'm going home for spring break, without telling Sylvia. I need to see what's really going on. Lena nodded, but her eyes were wary. This could get messy, Mia. Family secrets always do. I shoved the envelope into my bag. It got messy the moment she lied to me. She thinks I'm too broken to notice, too lost in grief to fight. She's about to find out how wrong she is. The March wind stung my face as I parked my rusty Subaru 2 blocks from my childhood home. Vermont's air carried the sharp bite of early spring, and the street was quiet, lined with bare maple trees. I'd driven 5 hours from campus, my mind racing with questions. Why were the utilities on? Why was my mail returned? What was Sylvia hiding? A sleek black sedan sat in my driveway. My driveway. My pulse quickened. Breathe, I muttered, texting Lena. Here, there's a car in the drive. Her reply was instant. Pics of everything. Be careful. I stepped out, pulling my hoodie up, and walked toward the house, trying to blend in like a random college kid on a stroll. Then I heard it. A child's laugh, followed by a dog's bark. We never had a dog. The front door swung open and a guy in his early 30s stepped out, juggling a toddler on his hip and a coffee mug. Be back by 6, Lily, he called, inside, then locked the door, my door, and headed to the sedan. He glanced my way and nodded, friendly but distracted. Nice day, huh? He said, buckling the kid into a car seat. I forced a smile, my mouth dry. Yeah, love the neighborhood. This house is gorgeous. He grinned, proud. Right? We lucked out. The landlord keeps it in great shape. My heart stopped. Landlord? I echoed, keeping my tone casual. Yeah, Sylvia Brooks. She's awesome. I'm Nate, by the way. He extended a hand and I shook it, my mind screaming. Mia, I said, almost choking on my own name. How long have you lived here? About 9 months, he said, checking his watch. Rent's a steal for Burlington. $500 a month. Sylvia's company handles everything. 9 months, $1,500 a month. The numbers exploded in my head. That was over $13,000 Sylvia had pocketed from my house while telling me she was barely keeping it afloat. Her company? I asked, fishing. Yeah, Brooks Realty Group. Super professional. You looking to rent around here? I swallowed hard. Maybe. Got a contact for her? Nate pulled out his phone, showing me a digital business card. Brooks. Realty Group, Sylvia Brooks, property manager. I snapped a photo when he wasn't looking. Thanks, I said, my voice tight. Really helpful. No prob. Gotta run. Daycare drop-off. He waved, driving off, oblivious to the bomb he'd just dropped. I leaned against a street lamp, my legs shaky. Sylvia wasn't just lying. She was running a business, renting out my house like it was hers. A neighbor's door opened, and I recognized Mrs. Carter, who'd baked me cookies every Halloween. Her eyes widened. Mia? What are you doing here? I straightened, my voice sharper than intended. Mrs. Carter, how long have there been tenants in my house? She fidgeted, glancing at the house. I thought you knew, dear. Sylvia said you gave her permission, that managing it was too much with college. Did she show you any papers I supposedly signed? Mrs. Carter's face fell. No, I just trusted her. Your parents were so good to us, I never thought... I pulled out my phone, dialing Lena. It's worse than we thought, I said when she answered. Sylvia's renting my house out through a company she owns. Tenants have been there for months. Lena's voice was grim. You need a lawyer, Mia, and hard proof. Don't confront her yet. Already on it, I said, watching Mrs. Carter shuffle back inside, guilt written all over her. Mrs. Carter, 1 sec, I called. She turned, hesitant. Would you write down what Sylvia told you? About the house, the tenants, everything? She nodded slowly. Your parents deserved better than this. I'll do it. Back in my car, my phone buzzed. A text from Sylvia. Hey, sweetie, just checking in. Class is going okay? House is fine, just paid the water bill. The lie stared up at me, bold and shameless. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, then typed, Thanks, Aunt Sylvia, you're the best. School's crazy, but I'm managing. Let her think I was still clueless, still the grieving kid she could manipulate. I started the car, glancing. At my house one last time. A dog barked inside, and a woman, probably Lily, crossed the living room window. My home filled with strangers. "You're not getting away with this, Sylvia," I whispered. "Not even close." Back at my apartment, Lena and I huddled over her laptop, surrounded by takeout containers and scribbled notes. "Look at this," she said, pulling up the Vermont Property Registry. "Brooks Realty Group registered 15 months ago. Guess who's the sole owner?" Sylvia's name glared back at us, signed in confident cursive, dated just 3 months after my parents' funeral. She was planning this while I was still picking out their headstones, I said, my voice hollow. Lena clicked another tab. "It gets worse. Your house is listed on rental sites. Cozy Burlington gem, modern upgrades, $1,600 a month. That's $100 more than Nate said." I leaned closer. The photos were my mom's, taken when my parents briefly considered selling, years ago. "Can we prove she stole those?" I asked. Lena grinned. "Metadata's intact, dates, camera model, everything." My phone buzzed. Jake, my dad's old fishing buddy who ran a hardware store in town, heard Sylvia's showing a duplex on Pine Street. Says it's part of her portfolio. "Want me to dig?" I texted back. "Yes. Photos, names, anything." Lena was already searching. "Brooks Realty has 3 properties listed. Your house, that duplex, and a condo on Lakeview, all advertised as fully leased." My hands clenched. She's built an empire on my grief. Lena met my eyes. "We need more. Bank records, lease agreements, something ironclad." I nodded, opening my banking app. Sylvia had access to my parents' estate account, claiming it was for house expenses. The transactions told a different story. Thousands withdrawn monthly, labeled maintenance or taxes, but no corresponding payments in the county records. I called Sylvia again, this time on speaker so Lena could hear. "Mia, twice in 1 week," she chirped. "What's up, sweetheart?" I kept my voice light. "Just thinking about the house. You said the furnace was fixed, right? Was it expensive?" A slight hesitation. "Oh, terribly, nearly $5,000. But don't worry, I covered it." Lena scribbled a note. "Furnace repair max $2,500. I pressed on. "Wow, that's a lot. Did you apply for that historic home grant you mentioned? The one for tax breaks?" Another pause. "Yes, actually. Just sent the paperwork. Should help with costs." Lena's eyes widened. She mouthed, "Owner's signature. Needed." "That's great," I said, my heart racing. "You signed for me, right? Since you're managing everything?" A longer silence. "Well, yes, as your proxy. Perfectly legal, Mia." I bit back a laugh. "You're amazing, Aunt Sylvia. I don't know how you do it." When I hung up, Lena was grinning. She just admitted to forging documents. We've got her. The next morning, an email from the Vermont Historic Society landed in my inbox. "Application for 142 Maple Drive denied. Owner verification required." Sylvia's plan was crumbling. I texted Jake, "Keep watching her. She's getting sloppy." His reply came fast. "She's at the condo now, arguing with tenants about late rent." "But they say they paid." I showed Lena. "She's double dipping," she said, taking cash under the table and through her company. I added it to our growing evidence file. "The IRS is gonna love this." Lena found a notary listed on one of Sylvia's lease agreements, a guy whose license expired a year ago. "Fake notarizations," she said. "That's fraud." My phone buzzed again. Lily, the tenant from my house, somehow got my number from Mrs. Carter. "Hey, Mia, weird question. Did you used to live here? Mail keeps coming for you, and Sylvia's acting sketchy about it." I showed Lena, who nodded. "Don't tell her yet. Let Sylvia dig her own grave." I texted Lily back. "Keep any mail with my name, and save your rent receipts." Sylvia called that afternoon, her voice tighter than usual. "Mia, I've been thinking. The house is such a burden. What if we sold it? I've got a buyer lined up. Cash offer." My blood ran cold. "Sell it," I echoed, playing dumb. "Who's the buyer?" A beat of silence. "Brooks Realty, actually. It'd simplify things." I gripped the phone. "I'll think about it." After hanging up, Lena was already searching. "She's desperate. Probably knows you're onto her." I opened my evidence folder. Bank records, forged leases, tenant texts, Jake's photos. "Time to take this to a lawyer," I said. "The university's legal clinic owes me a favor." Winter break hit, and I drove back to Burlington, my car stuffed with printouts and a hidden recorder. The courthouse was a gray slab against the snowy sky, but inside, the clerk's office felt like victory. I need records for Brooks Realty Group and 142 Maple Drive, I told the clerk, sliding my ID across the counter. 30 minutes later, I held a bombshell, a deed transfer dated 4 months ago, with my forged signature attempting to move. My house to Sylvia's company. Was this registered? I asked. The clerk checked. Rejected. Notary was invalid. I snapped photos, my hands shaking with adrenaline. Next stop, my parents' bank. The manager, Mr. Ellis, had known me since I was 10. "Mia, you're the spitting image of your mom," he said, leading me to the safe deposit box Sylvia didn't know existed. Inside were the original deed, my parents' will, and insurance papers, all naming me as sole heir. My phone buzzed. Lily. Again. "Sylvia's here, demanding extra rent for repairs. I have receipts showing I paid." I texted back. "Send payments to this P.O. box from now on." I'd opened it that morning, cutting Sylvia out. Jake met me at his store, grease on his hands from fixing a snowblower. "Sylvia's moving fast," he said, lowering his voice. "She's selling furniture from her place. Antiques, pricey stuff. My cousin at the thrift shop says she's cashing out." I added it to my notes. "Can your cousin document it?" "Already did." My phone lit up. Mrs. Carter, with an audio file. I played it. Sylvia's voice, smug at a neighborhood. Barbecue. "Mia's too overwhelmed to care about the house. By the time she notices, it'll be mine." I forwarded it to my lawyer, who texted back, "Gold. We're ready when you are." I drove past my house that night. A moving van was parked out front. New tenants, according to Lily's latest text. Sylvia was doubling down, thinking she could outrun me. My phone rang. Mrs. Carter. "Mia, Sylvia's at the house talking about a sale next week. Says she's got papers for you to sign." I smirked. "Let her talk. Record it." As I hung up, a car screeched into the motel lot where I was staying. Sylvia's blue SUV. She stormed toward me, her face twisted. "Why are the tenants sending rent to a P.O. box? What are you playing at, Mia?" I stayed calm, my phone recording. "Just visiting, Aunt Sylvia. Funny running into you." "Don't lie to me," she snapped. "I've done everything for you, kept that house from falling apart." By renting it out, forging my name. Her eyes widened, but she recovered fast. "You're ungrateful. I'm family." A police car rolled by, slowing. "Everything. Okay?" the officer called. Sylvia forced a smile. "Just talking." She leaned closer, hissing, "This isn't over." I watched her drive off, then texted Lena. "She's spooked. Time to tighten the net." Sylvia showed up at my apartment. The next week, unannounced, tears streaming down her face. "Mia, you have to understand," she sobbed, pacing. "I was protecting you. The house was bleeding money. Taxes, repairs." I slipped my phone into my pocket, recording. "Protecting me how?" I asked, keeping my voice neutral. "By renting it out?" She grabbed my hands. "Yes, the income saved us." "How much income?" I pressed. "Barely enough," she sniffled. "A few hundred a month." Lie. I had bank statements showing thousands. "What about the duplex on Pine? The condo?" Her tears stopped cold. "Who've you been talking to?" "The county. The tenants. They're not happy, Sylvia." She straightened, her mask slipping. "You're a kid. You don't get how this works." "I get that forging my signature is a crime," I said, "and that second mortgage you took out in my name." Her face paled. "You can't prove that." "Bank records don't lie." Lena burst in with my lawyer, a sharp-eyed grad student from the clinic. "Ms. Brooks," he said, "I'm representing Mia. We have evidence of forgery, theft, and tax fraud." Sylvia grabbed her purse. "This is nonsense." "Sit down," I said, my voice steel. "Where's the rental money going?" "Maintenance," she stammered. I played Mrs. Carter's recording, Sylvia bragging about her empire. "Try again," I said. She lunged for my phone. I stepped back. "Like you deleted the tenant emails? The lease agreements?" She froze. "Mia, please. We can fix this." "With what? The money you're hiding offshore?" Her eyes darted to the door. "You can't prove that." My lawyer laid out. "Documents. The FBI disagrees. Wire fraud's a federal crime." Sylvia bolted, slamming the door. Lena grinned. "She's done." I nodded, but my chest was heavy. Not yet. I parked across from my house the next day, watching a sheriff's cruiser pull into the drive. Sylvia's SUV was there, along with a realtor's car. My phone buzzed. Lena. Sheriff's serving papers. You good? I texted back. About to be. Sheriff Daniels, a wiry woman with a no-nonsense stare, knocked. Sylvia answered, her designer scarf out of place in the chaos. Sylvia Brooks, you're served with an eviction notice and criminal complaint, Daniels said, handing her a stack of papers. Sylvia tried to shut the door, but a deputy blocked it. This is my house, she shouted. I stepped out of my car, walking up. No, Aunt Sylvia, it's mine, her face twisted. You set me up. You set yourself up, I said. Daniels handed her another document. Asset freeze for Brooks Realty. FBI's looking into your accounts. Sylvia turned to her realtor, who was already backing away. Tell them. The realtor shook her head. You didn't disclose the ownership issues, Sylvia. You have 20 minutes to grab personal items, Daniels said. Sylvia's eyes found mine, pleading. Mia, we can work this out. Like you worked out stealing my parents' legacy, I said. Lily appeared on the porch, confused. Mia, is this true? She's not the owner? I nodded. You can stay, Lily. New lease with me. Relief washed over her. Jake's truck pulled up, and he joined us, arms crossed. Deputies are hitting her other properties, he said. Sylvia emerged with a bag, the deputy close behind. You'll regret this, she spat. With what? Mrs. Carter called from her porch. The money you stole? Sylvia's realtor whispered, Don't talk, and hustled her to the SUV. Daniels turned to me. House is yours. Change the locks. I nodded, clutching my key, the one Sylvia never knew I had. Back inside, the house felt strange, filled with someone else's furniture, but the bones were still mine. Lena arrived, hugging me. You did it. Not done yet, I said, opening my laptop. An email from Sylvia's lawyer, a countersuit claiming I'd defamed her. I laughed, forwarding it to my lawyer. She's desperate, Lena said. My phone buzzed. Jake. FBI's at Sylvia's place, found burner phones and shredded papers. Then Lily. Agents asked for my lease, showed them everything. Sylvia's empire was collapsing, but she wasn't giving up. Another text from Jake. Sylvia's asking about flights. Think she's running. I looked at Lena. Let her try. She's not slipping away. The next week, I sat in my childhood kitchen, the same table where I'd eaten pancakes with my parents. Lena was flipping through my evidence file. You've got enough to bury her, she said. My phone rang. My lawyer. FBI froze Sylvia's accounts. Found tax evasion predating your parents' death. This wasn't just about you. I exhaled, staring at my mom's old recipe book on the counter. What's next? She's facing federal charges. No bail. I nodded, but revenge didn't feel like I thought it would. It was less a blaze, more a quiet lock clicking. Shut. Lena nudged me. You okay? No, I said, tracing the table's grain. But I will be. Sylvia thought she could break me. She's about to learn I'm tougher than she ever was. The kitchen smelled faintly of my mom's recipe book. Its pages still open to her blueberry muffin recipe when my phone buzzed with a new email. I was back in my childhood home in Burlington, Vermont, the walls echoing with memories and the faint hum of Lily's vacuum upstairs. Sylvia's eviction was 2 days ago, and though the sheriff had locked her out, I could still feel her shadow, lingering. The email was from my lawyer, a no-nonsense grad student named Ethan from the university's legal clinic. FBI found more accounts tied to Sylvia's offshore transfers. She's not talking, but her realtor's cooperating. Call me. My heart skipped. What else was Sylvia hiding? I showed the screen to Lena, who was sprawled on the couch, scrolling through tenant complaints about Brooks Realty Group. Her realtor's flipping, Lena said, sitting up. That's huge. What's she saying? I dialed Ethan, putting him on speaker. Mia, good timing, he said. The realtor, Karen Wells, gave a statement. Sylvia's been laundering rental income through shell companies for years. Not just your house. Karen's got emails proving Sylvia used your parents' death to fast-track her schemes. I gripped the counter, my knuckles white. Years before they died. Ethan's voice was grim. Looks like it? Your parents' house was her golden ticket. Clean title, no mortgage, easy to exploit. But there's more. Karen says Sylvia's been meeting with a guy named Victor Crane, a shady investor. They're planning something big even now. Lena's eyes narrowed. Even after the FBI's on her? She's brazen, Ethan said. Karen overheard them talking about a backup plan, maybe liquidating assets or skipping town. We need to move fast. Can you check the house for anything Sylvia might have left behind? Papers, flash drives, anything. I glanced at the staircase, picturing Sylvia's smug smile as she'd worked her lies. I'm on it, I said, hanging up. Lena was already grabbing her jacket. Let's tear this place apart. If Sylvia's got a plan, we're finding it first. We started in the attic, where my parents had stored old furniture and holiday decorations. The air was thick with dust, and every creak of the floorboards felt like a warning. Why would she hide anything here? Lena asked, prying open a box of Christmas lights. Because she thought I'd never come back, I said, my voice tight. She banked on me staying the grieving college kid, too busy to notice. I yanked open a trunk, finding my dad's fishing gear and a stack of my mom's sketchbooks. My chest ached, but I pushed through, searching for anything out of place. Then, behind a cracked mirror, I spotted a small metal lockbox, barely bigger than a book. Lena, look at this. It was heavy, with a combination lock. No way this is my parents', I said. They hated locked stuff, said it was bad luck. Lena raised an eyebrow. Sylvia's bad luck, then. Can we break it open? I shook my head. Not yet. We need to know what's inside without tipping her off. Downstairs, my phone buzzed. Jake, my dad's old fishing buddy, who'd been keeping tabs on Sylvia. She's at a coffee shop on Church Street with some guy. Fancy suit, looks sketchy. Got pics. He sent a blurry photo. Sylvia, her hair pulled tight, leaning across a table toward a man with sharp cheekbones and a briefcase. Victor Crane, I bet. What's she planning now? I muttered, forwarding the photo to Ethan. Lena was already Googling Victor. This guy's bad news, she said, scrolling. Linked to real estate scams in New Hampshire, but never convicted. If Sylvia's with him, she's not just running, she's doubling down. My stomach twisted. Was Sylvia really arrogant enough to keep scheming with the FBI breathing down her neck? Or was she desperate, cornered, ready to burn everything down? I called Lily, who was folding laundry in the tenant apartment upstairs. Hey, Lily, did Sylvia ever leave anything here? Like papers or a computer? Lily hesitated. She used the basement sometimes. Said it was for property management. I saw her down there with boxes a few months ago. The basement. My skin prickled. Thanks, I said, hanging up. Lena grabbed a flashlight. Basement's creepy, Mia. You sure? I nodded, my jaw tight. Sylvia's not scaring me out of my own house. The basement stairs groaned under our weight, the air damp and heavy with mildew. My parents had used it for storage, old bikes, paint cans, my childhood sled. Now, it felt violated, like Sylvia's presence had tainted it. In the corner, behind a stack of moldy cardboard, we found 3 plastic storage bins, each labeled Brooks Realty Records. My pulse raced. Jackpot, Lena whispered, prying one open. Inside were lease agreements, bank statements, and a ledger handwritten in Sylvia's looping cursive. I flipped through it, my anger flaring. Payments from tenants, Lily, Nate, others, funneled into accounts I'd never seen, labeled with cryptic names like Vermont Holdings and Crane Investments. She's been skimming thousands, I said, snapping photos of every page. And look, dates go back 2 years. She was stealing from my parents before they died. Lena's flashlight caught something else, a small USB drive taped to the bin's lid. What's this? She asked, peeling it off. I pocketed it, my mind racing. Was this Sylvia's backup plan? Proof of her crimes? Or something worse? We hauled the bins upstairs, locking them in my old bedroom. My phone buzzed. Mrs. Carter, my neighbor, with another audio clip. Mia, Sylvia was here yesterday, talking to that man from the coffee shop. Her text read. I recorded it. I played the file, Sylvia's voice sharp and low. Victor, the kid's on to me. We need to move the money now, before the feds lock it down. The condo's clean, sell it fast. Victor's reply was smooth, almost amused. Relax, Sylvia. We've got buyers lined up. By next week, you'll be untouchable. I forwarded it to Ethan, my hands shaking. Untouchable? Not if I had anything to say about it. I drove to the courthouse the next morning, the USB drive burning. A hole in my pocket. The clerk's office was quiet, the same woman from last week peering at me over her glasses. Back again? She asked, almost smiling. Need records for Vermont Holdings and Crane Investments, I said, sliding my ID across. She returned with a thin file, but it was enough. A paper trail linking Sylvia's company to Victor's, with my house listed as collateral for a $200,000 loan. This was never approved, the clerk said, pointing to a red stamp. Signature issues. My forged signature again. I photographed it all, my resolve hardening. Sylvia wasn't just stealing, she was gambling my home on her escape. Back. At the house, Lena plugged the USB into her laptop, her fingers flying. Encrypted? She said, frowning, but I know a guy from my coding class who can crack it. I nodded, but my mind was on Victor. Who was he to Sylvia? A partner, a boss, or just a hired gun? My phone rang. Jake. Sylvia's at the airport, he said, breathless. Boarding a flight to Miami, I followed her from the coffee shop. What do you want me to do? My heart pounded. Was she running already? Don't confront her, I said. Just tell Ethan and get her flight details. I hung up, texting Ethan. Sylvia's fleeing. Miami. Stop her. His reply was instant. FBI's on it. Stay put. But staying put wasn't an option. I grabbed my keys, Lena trailing me. Where are we going? She asked, buckling into the passenger seat. Victor's office, I said, pulling up the address from Lena's earlier search. If Sylvia's running, he's covering her tracks. The drive to Montpelier was a blur, Vermont's rolling hills mocking my churning thoughts. Victor's office was a sleek glass building, out of place among the state's rustic charm. I parked across the street, watching a man matching Victor's description step out, briefcase in hand, talking on his phone. That's him, Lena said, zooming in with her camera. I dialed Ethan, keeping my eyes on Victor. I'm at Crane Investments. Victor's here. What do I do? Ethan's voice was sharp. Nothing, Mia. You're not a detective. Send me the photos and get out. But as I hung up, Victor looked straight at my car, his eyes locking onto mine. Did he know who I was? My skin crawled, but I snapped a photo before peeling out. Back home, Lily was waiting on the porch, her face pale. Mia, some guy came by asking about you. Said he was with the property company, but he wouldn't leave a name. I showed her Victor's photo. This guy? She nodded. He wanted to know if you were living here now. I didn't tell him anything. My stomach dropped. Sylvia wasn't just running. She was sending Victor to intimidate me. I texted Ethan and Jake. Victor's sniffing around my house. Watch Sylvia's properties. Lena was pacing. We need that USB cracked. Mia, it's our leverage. I nodded, calling her coding friend, who promised to work on it overnight. That night, I slept in my old bedroom, the lockbox from the attic on my nightstand. My dreams were jagged. Sylvia's voice, Victor's cold stare, my parents' faces, fading into fog. I woke to a text from Ethan. Sylvia's detained in Miami. FBI intercepted her at the gate. Victor's under surveillance. USB could be key. Get it decrypted. Relief mixed with dread. Sylvia was caught, but Victor was still out there, and that lockbox taunted me. What was Sylvia protecting? I tried random combinations, her birthday, my parents' anniversary. Nothing worked. Lena's friend called it dawn. USB's open, he said. It's a mess. Spreadsheets, emails, audio files. Sending now. The files loaded on Lena's laptop, and my blood ran cold. Spreadsheets tracked rental income from 6 properties, including mine, funneled into offshore accounts. Emails between Sylvia and Victor outlined a plan to sell my house to a shell. Company dated a week after my parents' death. But the audio files were worse. Sylvia's voice, calm and calculated, talking to an unknown man. The accident was clean, Victor. No one's looking. Mia's too young to suspect anything. Lena gasped. Accident? Mia, is she talking about my parents' boating crash? My hands shook as I replayed it. Was Sylvia involved? Had she orchestrated their deaths to steal their legacy? The room spun, but I forced myself to focus. We need to get this to the FBI, I said, my voice steel. But first, Victor, Jake texted. Victor's at the Pine Street duplex meeting buyers. Looks rushed. I grabbed my keys. I'm going, I told Lena. You stay here, keep digging. She protested, but I was already out the door. The duplex was 10 minutes away, a red brick building Sylvia had no right to sell. I parked a block over, watching Victor shake. Hands with a couple in suits. My phone recorded as he gestured at the building, his voice carrying prime investment. Owners motivated, cash deal, no questions. Owner. Me. My anger flared, but I stayed hidden, sending the video to Ethan. Back. Home, Lena was pale. Mia, the USB has a folder labeled Contingency. It's plans for if Sylvia got caught, new identities, bank accounts in the Caymans, even a contact for a private jet. My phone buzzed. Mrs. Carter, Victor's back at your house. Left. A note. I raced to the porch, finding an envelope with my name in sharp black ink. Inside, a single line. Back off, Mia, or you'll regret it. My hands shook, but not with fear, with rage. Victor thought he could scare me. Sylvia thought she could run. They'd underestimated me from the start. I called Ethan, forwarding the arm. Note. Victor's threatening me, and the USB, it's bigger than we thought. Sylvia might have been involved in my parents' death. His voice was steady. We're escalating this. FBI's raiding Victor's office tomorrow. Stay safe. Mia. But safety wasn't an option. I drove to Jake's store, where he was waiting with Mrs. Carter. Victor's been asking about you around town, Jake said. Says you're causing trouble. Mrs. Carter handed me another recording. Sylvia, on the phone from detention. Victor, clean it up. Mia's not stopping. I forwarded it to Ethan, my resolve hardening. Sylvia was cornered, but she wasn't done fighting. Neither was I. The next morning, Lily texted, FBI's here, asking about Victor. Showed them his note. I met them at the house, handing over the USB files and lockbox. We can't open it yet, the agent said, but this is enough to hold Sylvia in charge. Victor. I nodded, but my mind was on that audio file. Had Sylvia killed my parents? The question gnawed at me, fueling my drive. I drove past the duplex, now taped off with FBI vans parked out front. Victor was in cuffs, his briefcase open, on the hood. My phone buzzed. Lena. Found an email on the USB. Sylvia hired a mechanic to mess with your parents' boat. Mia, it's real. My world tilted. Revenge wasn't enough anymore. I needed justice. I sat in my kitchen, the recipe book open, as Ethan called. Sylvia's facing murder for hire charges. Victor's talking to save himself. You did this, Mia. I looked at the muffin recipe, my mom's handwriting soft and familiar. It's not over, I said. Not until every secret's out. Outside, the Vermont wind howled, carrying Sylvia's lies away. But Victor's note still sat on my counter, a reminder. This wasn't finished. Sylvia had accomplices, plans, contingencies. And I'd find them all. The morning sun barely cut through the Burlington fog as I sat at my kitchen table, the unopened lockbox from the attic staring back at me like a challenge. My parents' recipe book lay beside it, my mom's blueberry muffin recipe a quiet anchor amid the chaos. Sylvia was in federal custody in Miami, caught trying to flee, and Victor Crane, her shady investor partner, was in handcuffs after the FBI raided his Montpelier office. But the USB drive we'd found in the basement, its files hinting at Sylvia's role in my parents' boating accident, kept me awake all night. Was she really capable of murder? The question clawed at me, and the lockbox, still sealed with its unknown combination, felt like the key to something even darker. Lena was sprawled on the couch, her laptop open to the decrypted USB files. Mia, you see this? She called, pointing to an email from Sylvia to Victor, dated a month before my parents' death. She's talking about clearing the title on the house, says it's time to move. What does that mean? I leaned over, my stomach churning. It means she was planning to steal the house before they were even gone. I said, my voice low. But why kill them? Why not just wait? Lena's eyes met mine, grim. Maybe she couldn't. Maybe they were onto her. My phone buzzed. Ethan. My lawyer from the university's legal clinic. Mia, FBI's digging into the boat mechanic Sylvia hired, he said. Guy's got a rap sheet, tampering, arson. They're pulling the wreck from Lake Champlain tomorrow to check for sabotage. You okay? Okay? I wasn't okay. The idea that Sylvia, my aunt, the woman who'd braided my hair at family picnics, could have orchestrated my parents' deaths, it was a knife in my chest. I'm fine, I lied, gripping the lockbox. Any word on Victor? Ethan's voice tightened. He's cutting a deal, but he's holding something back. Says Sylvia had a silent partner, someone pulling. Strings, we don't know who. A silent partner? My mind raced. Was there someone else behind Sylvia's schemes? Someone still out there, watching me? I hung up, texting Jake, my dad's fishing buddy who'd been tailing Sylvia's moves. Any sign of new players? Someone Victor might have met? His reply was quick. Not yet, but Sylvia's realtor, Karen, just called me. She's freaking out, says someone's been asking about you at her office. I showed Lena the text. Karen's been cooperative, I said, but if she's scared, this silent partner might be closer than we think. Lena nodded, clicking through the USB files. Look at this. A bank transfer to an account labeled LP $50,000, right after your parents died. LP could be the partner. My pulse quickened. We need to trace it, I said, but before I could open my banking app, a knock at the door made us both jump. It was Lily, the tenant upstairs, holding a stack of mail. Mia, this came for you, she said, her face pale. It's weird. The top envelope had no return address, just my name in sharp, unfamiliar handwriting. I tore it open, my hands unsteady. A single sheet of paper typed, "You're digging too deep. Stop, or you'll end up like them." No signature, but the threat was clear. My parents' faces flashed in my mind, their smiles frozen in time. Was this from Victor, the silent partner, or someone new? Lena grabbed the note, her eyes wide. Mia, this is serious. We need to tell Ethan. I nodded, snapping a photo and texting it to him with a message. Threat at my house. Check Victor's contacts. But my eyes were on the lockbox. Whatever Sylvia was hiding, it was worth killing for. We're cracking this open, I said, grabbing a screwdriver from the kitchen drawer. Lena hesitated. What if it's evidence? We should wait for the FBI. I'm done waiting, I snapped, prying at the lock. The metal groaned but held. My phone buzzed. Mrs. Carter, my neighbor, with another audio clip. Mia, I heard Sylvia's voice on a voicemail left at my house by mistake. Her text read. I played it. Sylvia's tone frantic. LP, she's closing in. The box can't be found. Move the rest of the money tonight. The box. My hands froze on the screwdriver. This lockbox was the key to everything. Sylvia's secrets, her partner, maybe even proof of murder. I drove to Jake's hardware store, the lockbox rattling in my passenger seat. Jake was behind the counter, wiping grease off his hands. Mia, you look like hell, he said, frowning. What's wrong? I showed him the threat note and played Sylvia's voicemail. His face darkened. This LP guy's trouble. I saw Victor with someone at the coffee shop last week. Older man, expensive watch, didn't catch his name. Could be him. I handed him the lockbox. Can you open this without breaking it? He inspected it, nodding. Give me an hour. But Mia, be careful. Whoever sent that note knows where you live. I nodded, my throat tight. I'm not backing down. Not now. As I left, my phone buzzed. Ethan. FBI's tracking the note. No prints, but Victor's phone records show calls to a burner in Burlington. Stay vigilant. Back home, Lena was cross-referencing the USB's bank transfers with public records. LP's account is tied to a shell company, Champlain Ventures, she said. Registered in Vermont, but the owner's hidden behind layers of paperwork. I opened my laptop, searching the county database. Champlain Ventures owned a warehouse on the outskirts of town, listed as storage. Storage for what? I muttered, my mind flashing to Sylvia's bins in the basement. Lena's eyes lit up. What if that's where she's hiding the rest of her stuff? Money, documents, whatever's left of her empire? I grabbed my keys. We're checking it out. Tonight. The warehouse was a hulking shadow against the starry Vermont sky, its chain-link fence glinting under my headlights. Lena clutched her flashlight, her voice low. This feels like a bad idea, Mia. I cut the engine, my heart pounding. Bad ideas got us this far. If Sylvia's partner is moving money, it's here. We slipped through a gap in the fence, the gravel crunching under our sneakers. The warehouse door was padlocked, but a side window was cracked open, just enough to climb through. Inside, the air was stale, stacked with crates and metal shelves. My flashlight caught a label on a crate. Brooks Realty? Private. I pried it open, revealing stacks of cash, fake IDs with Sylvia's photo under different names, and a ledger, mirroring the one from the basement. She was ready to disappear, Lena whispered, snapping photos. But then, headlights swept across the window. A car door slammed. Someone's here, I hissed, pulling Lena behind a shelf. Footsteps echoed, deliberate and heavy. A man's voice smooth and unfamiliar. She said the box was secure. If it's gone, we're exposed. Another voice, younger, nervous. Victor swore he'd handle the girl. The first man laughed, cold. Victor's in a cell. The girl's smarter than Sylvia thought. My blood ran cold. They were talking about me. Lena's hand gripped. Mine, her eyes wide. We crouched, barely breathing, as the men moved closer. My phone vibrated. Jake. Boxes open. Found a key and papers. Where are you? I silenced it, my mind racing. A key? To what? The men's flashlight beams swept the room, missing us by inches. Check the crates, the older man said. We need the rest before LP pulls the plug. LP again. My heart hammered. Was he here, or was he the man giving orders? The younger man cursed, kicking a crate. Sylvia screwed us. The feds are too close. They moved to the far end of the warehouse, giving us a chance to slip back to the window. We climbed out, my hand shaking as I texted Jake. Warehouse on Route 7. Call Ethan, now. We made it to the car, peeling out as another vehicle pulled. Into the lot. Lena was breathless. Who were they? LP's guys? I nodded, my eyes on the rearview mirror. Sylvia's not running this alone. Someone bigger is calling the shots. My phone rang. Ethan. Mia, where are you? Jake says you're at a warehouse. I filled him in, my voice steady despite the adrenaline. FBI's on the way, he said. Get somewhere safe. But safe felt impossible. Sylvia's schemes. We're a hydra. Cut off one head, and two more grew. Back at the house, Jake was waiting, the lockbox open on the kitchen table. Inside was a brass key, a folded document, and a photo of my parents, their faces crossed out in red ink. My stomach lurched. What the hell is this? I whispered, picking up the document. It was a contract, signed by Sylvia and LP, transferring my house to Champlain Ventures for $1. The date? 2 weeks before the accident. Lena gasped. They planned to steal it from the start. The key had a tag, Unit 12, Burlington Storage. Another hiding spot? Jake's face was grim. Mia, there's more. Karen, the realtor, called. She found a burner phone Sylvia left at her office. It's got texts from LP, orders to neutralize you if you got too close. Neutralize? The word hit like a punch. Sylvia wasn't just a thief, she was a monster. I sat down. The photo of my parents burning in my hands. Why had Sylvia hated them so much? What had they done to deserve this? My phone buzzed. Lily. FBI's back. They found Victor's laptop at the warehouse. Want to see? I texted back. Yes. Keep me posted. Lena was already packing the lockbox contents into a safe. We can't stay here, Mia. Not with LP's guys out there. I nodded, but my eyes were on the key. We're checking that storage unit. Tomorrow. Lena protested, but I cut her off. Sylvia's partner thinks they can scare me. They're wrong. Okay, guys, let's hit pause for just a second. This story's getting wild, right? Mean. Can you believe Sylvia's nerve and now this mysterious LP pulling strings? Here's a question for you. Who do you think LP is? A family member, a business tycoon, or someone totally unexpected? Drop your guesses in the comments. I'm dying to read them. And if you're hooked on Mia's fight for justice, hit that like button to show some love, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Trust me, it's only getting crazier. All right, back to the story. Mia's about to take this to a whole new level. The storage facility was a maze of gray units under flickering lights, the kind of place that felt like it held everyone's secrets. It was dawn, the air sharp with early April chill, and Lena clutched a crowbar, her face tense. This is nuts, Mia, she whispered as we crept toward Unit 12. What if LP's guys are watching? I gripped the brass key, my jaw tight. Let them watch. I'm done hiding. The lock clicked open, revealing a cramped space stacked with file boxes, a safe, and, chillingly, a duffel bag stuffed with cash. I unzipped it, my breath catching. Hundreds of thousands, I whispered, snapping photos. Lena opened a file box, pulling out forged deeds. Not just for my house, but for properties across Vermont. Sylvia wasn't just stealing from you, she said. She's been scamming entire towns. A noise outside made us freeze, a car engine idling. I peered through the unit's slats, spotting a black SUV parked at the lot's entrance. The same one from the warehouse? My phone buzzed. Ethan. FBI's got Victor's laptop. Emails confirm LP is local, possibly ex-government. Storage units hot, get out. Too late. Footsteps crunched closer and a man's voice hissed. They're here. Check the unit. Lena shoved the duffel back, her eyes wide. I grabbed a file, tucking it under my jacket, and whispered, window. We climbed out a narrow vent, landing in the gravel as flashlight beams swept the unit. My car was too far, so we ducked behind a dumpster, my heart pounding. The men cursed, realizing the unit was empty. LP's gonna lose it, one said, slamming the door. They drove, off, but I knew they'd be back. We made it to Jake's store, where he was waiting with Karen, Sylvia's realtor. Mia, I found something, Karen said, handing me the burner phone. It screenshowed texts from LP. She's at the storage. And this. My blood ran cold. Karen, who's LP? I asked. She shook her head, pale. I don't know. Sylvia never said, but he's powerful. Victor was terrified of him. Jake handed me a printout. Found this in Sylvia's old office trash. It's a meeting schedule with LP at a law firm downtown. A law firm. My mind flashed to my parents' lawyer, Mr. Hargrove, who'd handled their will. Was he involved? I texted Ethan. Check Hargrove and Associates. Possible LP connection. That night, I sat in my childhood bedroom, the stolen file from the storage unit open on my bed. It was a blueprint of Sylvia's empire, properties, accounts, even a timeline for eliminating obstacles. My parents' names were circled with a date, the day of the accident. My hands shook as I photographed it, sending it to Ethan. Lena knocked, her face grim. Mia, the FBI called. The boat wreck's brakes were tampered with. It's official. Murder. I nodded, my throat tight. Sylvia had killed them, and LP had helped. My phone buzzed. Mrs. Carter, man at my house, asking if you're home. Looked like a cop, but no badge. I texted back, lock your doors. Call. Jake. LP was closing in, and I was running out of time. The next morning, I drove to Hargrove and Associates, the file tucked in my bag. The receptionist smiled, oblivious to the storm I was carrying. Is Mr. Hargrove in? I asked, my voice steady. She nodded, buzzing me through. Hargrove was in his 60s, silver-haired, with a politician's charm. Mia, what a surprise, he said, gesturing to a chair. How's the house? I sat, my eyes locked on his. Funny you ask. Sylvia tried to sell it, with help from someone called LP. His smile faltered just for a second. I don't know any LP, he said, too quickly. I pulled out the meeting schedule, sliding it across his desk. Then why's your name next to his? Hargrove's face hardened. You're in over your head, Mia. Let this go. I leaned forward, my voice ice. Like my parents let it go? He stood, reaching for his phone, but I was faster, hitting. Record on mine. Who's LP, Mr. Hargrove, and what did you do to my family? Hargrove's office felt like a trap, the air thick with the scent of leather and old coffee. His hand hovered over his phone, his polished smile gone, replaced by a hard stare that made my skin crawl. You're in over your head, Mia, he'd said, but my phone was recording, hidden in my palm, catching every word. Who's LP? I repeated, my voice steady despite the pulse hammering in my ears. And what did you do to my family? Hargrove leaned back, his chair creaking, and for a split second I saw something flicker in his eyes. Fear, maybe, or calculation. You're chasing ghosts, Mia, he said, his tone smooth again. Sylvia's the problem, not me. She's the one who forged your name, stole your house. I slid the meeting schedule across his desk, the one Jake found in Sylvia's trash, with Hargrove's name next to LP. Then why's your name here? I asked. Why's Sylvia calling someone LP in voicemails about my house? My parents' death? His jaw tightened and he pushed the paper back. This is nothing. A clerical error. You're grieving, Mia. It's making you see conspiracies. I stood, my anger flaring. A conspiracy? Like my parents' boat brakes being tampered with? Like Sylvia funneling money to LP through Champlain Ventures? Hargrove's face went pale, but he recovered fast, standing to match me. Careful, Mia. Accusations like that can ruin lives. Like Sylvia ruined mine? I shot back. Or like you helped her? He moved toward the door, but I blocked him, my phone still recording. I'm not leaving until you tell me who LP is. He laughed, cold and sharp. You think you're clever, don't you? Just like your dad. He poked his nose where it didn't belong too. My breath caught. What's that supposed to mean? Hargrove's eyes narrowed. Get out, Mia, before you regret it. I held his gaze, my heart pounding, then turned and left, the recording saved. He'd slipped, mentioned my dad. What had my parents known? What had they uncovered that got them killed? Back in my car, I texted Lena the audio file. Hargrove's hiding something. Said Dad was poking around. Check USB for anything on Dad's business. My parents had run a small accounting firm. Nothing fancy, but they'd handled taxes for half of Burlington's businesses. Had they stumbled onto Sylvia's schemes? Or Hargrove's? My phone buzzed. Ethan, my lawyer. Mia, that recording's gold, he said. Hargrove's name's in Victor's laptop too. Emails about cleaning up loose ends. FBI's watching him, but they need more. Did you check that storage unit key? I gripped the brass key from the lockbox, still in my pocket. Going now, I said, starting the engine. Be careful, Ethan warned. LP's still out there, and that threat note wasn't a joke. The Burlington storage facility was eerily quiet, the afternoon sun casting long shadows across the concrete units. I parked near Unit 12, the key heavy in my hand. Lena was waiting, her backpack stuffed with a flashlight and a crowbar. You sure about this? She asked, scanning the empty lot. After the warehouse, I'm not thrilled about sneaking around. I nodded, my jaw tight. Sylvia's partner wants me scared. I'm not giving them the satisfaction. We slipped into the unit, the lock clicking open like a confession. Inside, the space was packed tighter than before. More file boxes, a locked safe, and a laptop bag tucked behind a shelf. I unzipped it, finding a sleek silver laptop with a sticky note, LP backup. My pulse raced. This is it, I whispered, handing it to Lena. She powered it on, but it was password protected. My guy can crack this, she said, tucking it into her bag. I opened a file box, pulling out contracts. More forged deeds, not just for my house, but for properties across Vermont and New Hampshire. One caught my eye, a lease agreement for a commercial building signed by Sylvia and Harg fingerprints smudged on the page. Hargrove's in deeper than he admitted, I said, snapping photos. A car engine rumbled outside and we froze. Through the unit's slats, I saw a black SUV, the same one from the warehouse. They're back, Lena hissed, shoving the laptop bag behind a box. I grabbed the lease agreement, tucking it into my jacket, and we ducked toward the vent we'd used last time. But the footsteps were faster now, 2 sets, closing in. Check the unit, a man's voice barked, gruff, unfamiliar. LP said she's been here. My heart stopped. They knew I was digging. We scrambled through the vent, landing hard in the gravel and sprinted to my car. The men shouted, their flashlight beams slicing the dusk, but I floored the gas. Peeling out onto Route 7. Lena was breathless, clutching the laptop bag. Who are these guys? LP's private muscle? I nodded, my eyes on the rearview mirror. And they're not stopping. We made it to Jake's hardware store, where he was locking up for the night. Mia, you're gonna give me a heart attack, he said, seeing our faces. I showed him the lease agreement and told him about the SUV. His eyes darkened. That's no ordinary lease, he said, pointing to the building's address. That's the old textile mill on Pine Street. Been empty for years, but I heard rumors of shady deals going down there. I texted Ethan. Found Hargrove's prints on a lease for Pine Street Mill. LP's involved. Check it. Jake handed me a crowbar. If you're going to that mill, you're not going unarmed. I shook my head. Not yet. We need the laptop cracked first. Lena's phone pinged. Her coding friend. He's in, she said, opening. An email with decrypted files. Emails, bank records, and, holy crap, Mia, audio of Sylvia and Hargrove. I played it, Sylvia's voice sharp. LP wants the mill deal done before the feds sniff around. Your cut's waiting, Hargrove. His reply was smug. Tell LP I've got the council in my pocket. No one's touching that property. I forwarded the audio to Ethan, my hands shaking. Hargrove wasn't just Sylvia's lawyer. He was her partner, maybe even LP himself. But why the mill? What was worth risking everything? My phone buzzed. Lily, the tenant. Mia, some guy was here again asking about you. Left a card, says he's with the city planning office. But it looked fake. I showed Lena the photo Lily sent, a business card for Champlain Ventures planning consultant, the same shell company from the USB. "They're circling," Lena said, her voice tight. "We need to hit that mill before they cover their tracks." I nodded, but my eyes were on the laptop files. One folder was labeled Pine Street Contingency. Inside, a single document, a blueprint of the mill, with sections marked storage and disposal. Disposal of what? My parents' secrets? Evidence? Or something worse? I drove to the mill that night, the crowbar in my back seat, Lena navigating with her phone. The building loomed against the starry sky, its windows shattered, the air heavy with rust and neglect. "This place gives me the creeps," Lena muttered, clutching her flashlight. We slipped through a broken gate, the gravel crunching under our boots. Inside, the mill was a maze of rusted machinery and stacked crates, some labeled Champlain Ventures. I pried one open, finding plastic bags of cash and what looked like ledgers, more proof of Sylvia's money laundering. But a faint hum caught my attention coming from deeper in the mill. "You hear that?" I whispered. Lena nodded, her beam sweeping the shadows. We followed the sound to a locked door, the hum louder now, like a generator. I tried the brass key from the lockbox. It fit. The door creaked open, revealing a small room with a running computer, its screen glowing with a live feed of my house. My stomach dropped. They were watching me. Lena grabbed my arm. "Mia, we need to go. Now." But I was frozen, staring at the screen. A timestamp showed footage from yesterday. Me in the kitchen, opening the lockbox. "They've been spying," I said, my voice barely audible. I yanked the computer's drive, tucking it into my bag, but footsteps echoed behind us. "She's here!" A man's voice growled, too close. We bolted, weaving through the machinery, the crowbar heavy in my hand. Flashlights chased us, their beams slicing the dark. "Split up!" I hissed, shoving Lena toward a side exit. I dove behind a crate, my heart pounding as the men's voices grew louder. "LP's orders. Find her. Take the drive." I clutched the drive, my mind racing. Who was LP? Hargrove? Someone higher? And what was in this mill they'd kill to protect? I slipped out a broken window, reuniting with Lena at the car. We sped back to Jake's, my hands shaking on the car wheel. "That was too close," Lena said, her voice shaky. "What's on that drive?" I didn't know. But I texted Ethan. Found a computer at the mill with surveillance of my house. Sending drive. Jake was waiting, his truck idling. "FBI's at the mill now," he said, handing me a coffee. "Your text tipped them off. They found crates of fake IDs, cash, even drugs." Drugs? Sylvia's empire was darker than I'd imagined. My phone buzzed. "Mrs. Carter, police at my house. Said they're looking for you, but they're not local. Be careful." I showed Lena. "LPs. Guys," she said, "they're not giving up." The next morning, Ethan called. "The drive's a gold mine," he said. "Surveillance logs, bank transfers, even a contract tying Hargrove to LP, but LP's real name's still hidden. FBI's raiding Champlain Ventures offices today." I nodded, but my eyes were on the Pine Street blueprint, still on my table. Disposal nagged at me. Was it evidence? Bodies? My parents' boat had been tampered with. What else had Sylvia and LP buried? I drove to the city clerk's office, pulling records for the mill. The property was sold to Champlain Ventures a year ago, but the seller's name stopped me cold. My dad's accounting firm. Had he known about Sylvia's plans? Had he tried to stop her? I called Jake. "Did my dad ever mention the Pine Street mill?" He hesitated. "Once. Said he was auditing a client who owned it. Got weird vibes. Never told me more." My chest tightened. My dad had been digging, just like me. And it got him killed. My phone buzzed. "Lily, FBI found a hidden room at the mill. They're not saying what's in it." I texted Ethan. "What's in the mill's hidden room?" His reply was vague. "Under investigation. Stay away." But staying away wasn't an option. I grabbed the crowbar and drove back to the mill, the blueprint in my bag. The FBI tape was up, but the side gate was unguarded. I slipped inside, my flashlight cutting through the dark. The hidden room's door was ajar, the generator silent. Inside, I found chemical barrels labeled hazardous. My blood ran cold. Was this LP's disposal? Evidence of my parents' murder, erased in acid? Footsteps crunched behind me. I spun, crowbar raised, but it was Jake. "Mia, what the hell?" he whispered. "FBI's coming back. You can't be here." I showed him the barrels. "This is what they're hiding. Sylvia, LP, all of it." He nodded, his face grim. "I found something too. Your dad's old client list in his shop's records. Hargrove was on it, tied to the mill." My phone buzzed. "Lena, Hargrove's gone. Left his office? No trace. FBI's losing it. Hargrove was running, or LP was tying up loose ends." I photographed the barrels, sending them to Ethan. "We're leaving," Jake said, pulling me toward the exit. But a car's headlights swept the lot, and a voice called my name, low, unfamiliar, and chillingly calm. I ducked behind a crate, Jake beside me, as the man stepped into the mill. "Mia, I know you're here," he said, his voice smooth, almost amused. "LP doesn't like games." My heart pounded. Was this LP or another hired thug? I texted Lena, "Man at mill, not FBI. Help." The man's flashlight swept closer, his boots echoing. "You're just like your parents," he said, "too curious for your own good." My grip tightened on the crowbar. Sylvia was in jail, Victor was talking, Hargrove was gone. But LP's shadow loomed larger than ever, and I was in its crosshairs.
Wow, Mia's fight against Sylvia's betrayal, and that shadowy LP is just getting darker, isn't it? Those chemical barrels in the mill. What's LP hiding? The truth is still out there, and it's chilling, craving another twisty tale of secrets and revenge. There's a story waiting for you about a woman uncovering a deadly family conspiracy that'll keep you glued to your screen. Click it now. You won't believe what's next.